Welcome to another episode of our 5-minute learning series. Have you ever wondered how much water is really needed to manufacture a product, grow our food, or run a business? The answer is often much greater than we imagine. In this session, we'll explore water footprint, what it is, why it matters, and how organizations can use it to improve sustainability, reduce risks, and make better business decisions. Water is the foundation of life, but it is also one of the world's most critical business resources. Although water covers most of our planet, only a tiny fraction is available as fresh water for human use. At the same time, climate change, population growth, and industrial expansion are increasing the pressure on these limited resources. Every organization depends on water in some way, whether it's a manufacturing plant, a farm, a hospital, or even an office building. Understanding how we use water is no longer just an environmental responsibility. It has become an operational necessity and a key component of sustainable business. So, what exactly is a water footprint? Many people assume it simply means measuring the amount of water consumed. In reality, it's much more comprehensive. A water footprint assesses the potential environmental impacts associated with water throughout the life cycle of a product, process, or organization. It considers where the water comes from, how it is used, how it is returned to the environment, and what impact that use has on local water resources. This internationally recognized approach is defined in ISO 14046, the global standard for water footprint assessment. One of the most common misconceptions is confusing water consumption with a water footprint. Water consumption simply tells us how much water is used. A water footprint asks a much bigger question: what is the environmental impact of using that water? Imagine two factories using exactly the same amount of water. One operates in a region with abundant rainfall, while the other is located in an area facing severe water scarcity. Although their water consumption is identical, their environmental impacts are very different. That's why understanding the context is just as important as measuring the volume. Water footprint assessments recognize three different categories of water. Blue water comes from rivers, lakes, and underground aquifers and is the primary source used by industries and municipalities. Green water is rainwater stored naturally in the soil, making it particularly important for agriculture and forestry. Gray water represents the amount of clean water required to dilute pollutants so that water quality remains within acceptable environmental limits. Together, these three categories provide a complete picture of how human activities interact with freshwater resources. Most organizations begin their journey by understanding where water flows through their operations. This is known as the operational water balance. Water enters the organization through various sources, is used in different processes, and eventually leaves as recycled water, treated discharge, or unavoidable losses. By mapping this flow, organizations can identify leaks, reduce waste, improve recycling, and make better operational decisions. However, this operational picture is only the starting point. A complete water footprint assessment goes much further. ISO 14046 uses the principles of life cycle assessment, often referred to as LCA. The assessment begins by defining the purpose and boundaries of the study. Next, organizations collect detailed information about water entering and leaving every stage of the process. This data is then evaluated to understand the potential environmental impacts associated with water use. Finally, the results are interpreted to identify improvement opportunities and support informed decision making. By following this structured approach, organizations move from assumptions to evidence based water management. Many organizations focus only on the water used within their own facilities, but that's only part of the story. Water is consumed throughout the entire value chain, from extracting raw materials and growing crops to manufacturing, packaging, transportation, product use, and even recycling at the end of a product's life. In many industries, the largest portion of the water footprint actually lies within the supply chain rather than inside the factory itself. Understanding the entire value chain allows organizations to make far more meaningful improvements. So, why should organizations invest time and effort in measuring their water footprint? The answer is simple: measurement creates understanding, understanding drives improvement. By identifying water intensive activities, organizations can reduce operating costs, improve efficiency, strengthen sustainability performance, and prepare for future water risks. It also supports ESG reporting, regulatory compliance, and growing customer expectations for responsible environmental management. As the saying goes, what gets measured can be managed. Water management does not exist in isolation. It is closely connected with several internationally recognized standards and reporting frameworks. ISO 14046 provides the methodology for assessing water footprints. ISO 14001 integrates water into an environmental management system. ISO 46001 focuses specifically on improving water efficiency. Frameworks such as GRI, CDP, Water Security, and EcoVadis encourage organizations to measure, report, and continuously improve their water performance while contributing to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal for clean water and sanitation. Together, these frameworks create a comprehensive approach to responsible water management. Reducing a water footprint doesn't always require major investments. Often, it begins with understanding where water is being used inefficiently. Simple actions such as repairing leaks, monitoring consumption, recycling process water, installing water efficient equipment, and harvesting rainwater can produce significant improvements. Employee awareness and supplier collaboration are equally important. When combined with continuous monitoring, these actions help organizations build a culture of responsible water management. Today, organizations are expected to do more than simply reduce water consumption. The focus is shifting towards water stewardship. Water stewardship recognizes that water is a shared resource. It encourages organizations to work with communities, suppliers, regulators, and other stakeholders to protect rivers, groundwater, and ecosystems while ensuring long term water availability. The question is no longer, how can I use less water? Instead, it becomes, how can I help protect the water resources we all depend on? That shift represents the future of sustainable business. Water footprint assessments are now being used across a wide range of industries. Manufacturers optimize production processes. Agriculture improves irrigation efficiency. Food and beverage companies strengthen supply chain sustainability. Healthcare organizations improve resource management, while commercial buildings and data centers reduce operational impacts. Regardless of the sector, measuring water use enables organizations to improve efficiency, strengthen ESG performance, and demonstrate environmental responsibility. Let's recap the key messages from today's session. A water footprint measures the environmental impacts associated with water use, not just the volume of water consumed. ISO 14046 provides the internationally recognized assessment methodology. Understanding your water footprint supports better operational decisions, stronger sustainability performance, and more effective resource management. And perhaps most importantly, water stewardship is becoming an essential expectation for every responsible organization. Every organization has a responsibility to manage water wisely. Whether you're operating a factory, managing an office, running a hospital, or growing food, every decision you make influences one of our planet's most valuable shared resources. The journey begins with three simple actions: measure your water use, understand your impacts, improve continuously. Because every improvement, no matter how small, contributes to a more sustainable future. And in the end, every drop truly matters. Thank you for watching this edition of our 5-minute learning series. If you found this video valuable, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us create more practical learning content on quality, sustainability, and business excellence. You can also scan the QR code on your screen to access our training programs, consulting services, and additional learning resources. Until our next session, keep learning, keep improving, and help build a more sustainable world, one drop at a time.